Behind us are two of the hottest hatches available on the market today. Both have 5 doors, they have 6 manual forward gears, drive all 4 wheels, and have at least 300 horsepower.
But that's about where the similarities end. The GR Corolla is a rally-inspired, raw little machine versus the Volkswagen Golf R that's more of a premium track weapon.
So that's why we're here once again at Toronto Motorsports Park to see which one of these cars puts a bigger smile on our face, but maybe more importantly, which one leaves it there after a full day of driving. So enough talk, enough wind, let's get to it. We'll get you back to the track in a second, but first let's talk about our sponsor. Custom made for an exact fit, WeatherTech offers complete protection for your vehicle's interior, even for performance cars like these. There's the original WeatherTech floor liner and new floor liner HP made from a more flexible material. Both work with your OE floor mat clips to protect up the sides of your footwell, plus the floor liner HP comes with these spikes for even better grip. I have one set in my car and the other in my wife's car, and we both love them. And let's not forget the cargo liner, which is great to protect your car from tools, fluids, tires, and whatever else you might be bringing to the track. All WeatherTech products come with a lifetime guarantee, so do yourself a favor and click on the link in the description below and find the perfect fit for your car today. The GR Corolla is the antithesis of the Golf R. It is the raw, rambunctious counterpoint to the posh, sophisticated Volkswagen. If the Golf R is a classically trained concert pianist, then the GR Corolla is the self-taught punk rock guitarist. The GR Corolla is unusual in that it uses a turbocharged 1.6-liter 3-cylinder that makes a lot of power for its size, 300 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque to be exact. The GR's engine is very rev-happy and makes most of its power at the top end. Once power builds, it accelerates with more authority than any 3-cylinder should. On a long straightaway, the Toyota and Volkswagen are reaching roughly the same top speed. The GR Corolla has a triple exhaust setup with 2 conventional exhaust tips at either side and a larger oval tip dead center. They let out a throaty burble that's unique in sound. When driving, there's a lot of audio turbo noises too, which frankly just sounds cool. The Toyota's clutch is light and easy to engage, with more travel than found in the Golf R. The Corolla's 6-speed manual transmission is precise in engagement, but very mechanical in feel and not as refined as that found in the Volkswagen. There's a decidedly more mechanical feel to how the Corolla engages each cog of its transmission compared to the Golf as well. Oh, and the GR Corolla allows the driver to enable rev-matching downshifts if inclined. You can't do that in the Golf R. The GR Corolla has a traditional handbrake that's perfectly placed right beside the driver and has a nice thick handle. Now I'm doing everything I can to resist the temptation to grab it while driving and do some pull-lever handbrake slides. Now the Golf R has done away with one of these manual handbrakes and only has an electronic one now. Stylistically, the GR Corolla features a wide body, which gives it a bit of visual distinction from other Corolla hatchbacks. But without the Circuit Edition and its carbon fiber roof and larger rear spoiler, the GR blends into the crowd quite easily. Maybe not as easily as the Golf, but it's still pretty subtle in its styling. Despite being a larger car in terms of length, the Toyota has less headroom, legroom, or cargo capacity compared to the Volkswagen. That said, I'm about 6 feet tall and I easily fit in the front seat of the car with a lot of headroom to spare. The front seat itself is supportive and comfortable enough. It might not be as fancy or covered in as nice of materials as the Golf seat, but it gets the job done. There's also the upgraded seats in the GR Corolla Circuit, which should offer a nicer finish and potentially even greater support. When it comes to the rear seats in the Corolla, they offer little space, and it's really the domain of smaller humans only. Headroom isn't too bad, but legroom is lacking. The GR Corolla is not about hauling people or stuff though, it's about the massive amounts of fun you'll have behind the wheel. Both cars are easily approachable to drive at high speeds. There's hardly any learning curve on either, and I feel so confident driving them around the track almost immediately. But the Golf R isolates me too much from what I'm doing. I know I'm going fast and it's hooking up to the track incredibly, but I don't feel it as much as I do in the GR Corolla. I feel more connected with the Toyota, like more of what I'm doing is actually having an effect on the car's behavior. The steering wheel is small and the cook ratio turn-in gives me a lot of feedback and makes the Corolla feel more agile even if it's not. Another big reason for this feeling has to do with the all-wheel drive system. it defaults to split power front to rear at a 60-40 ratio. Drivers can manually switch it to 30-70 for a more rear-wheel drive bias, or use the track mode, which gives you a 50-50 split. During my time with the vehicle, I mostly had it in the 30-70 mode, and that combined with the standard Torsen differentials front and rear provided all the grip I ever needed. I wish we could have driven these two cars back to back in slippery conditions to really test out the all-wheel drive systems, but I can't complain about the nice weather we're currently having. And now onto the weakest part of the GR Corolla, the interior. Inside the Corolla, there are a lot of dated materials like the shiny plastic doors, toggle switch heated seats, and the fuzzy roof liner. For nearly $40,000, I expect a bit more finish inside a car. It feels at least a class below the Golf R in terms of premium quality. Feature-wise, the GR Corolla can't really match up to the Golf R either, but I do have pretty much everything I need in a performance hatchback. I have a digital gauge cluster, a large infotainment screen, buttons to control the center differential and the drive modes, and if it's cold out, even some heated seats. It's clear Toyota put all the money in the GR Corolla into the mechanical bits, and I am so glad the brand did. The combo of a small wheelbase, great all-wheel drive system, quick steering, and rev-happy engine leads to a lot of fun. I just can't wait to get back in and drive this car. Compared to the Golf R, the GR Corolla is unrefined, unsophisticated, but a lot more analog, and in my opinion, a lot more fun. Yeah, it's the irrational choice here, and it's not so well equipped, functional, or premium, or any of those things compared to the Volkswagen. But as tested, it's also priced at almost $7,000 cheaper. That's a good chunk of money, and that might be the deciding factor alone.
Volkswagen has always done a really good job with the Golf R, balancing high-performance driving, subdued styling, and a general overall sophistication with the car. And this current generation, that's no different. When parked next to the little feisty Toyota, however, it comes across as the mature choice, the adult's hot hatch. Fire up the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine and it purrs pretty smoothly, with most of its sound kept at bay behind far more insulation than you'd find in the GR Corolla. Stab the throttle a few times and it'll growl at you, but in a fairly restrained way. Even in its most aggressive drive mode, it only makes a few of those obnoxious pops when decelerating really abruptly. This subtlety and smoothness define the Golf R, and whether you're cruising around on road or flinging it into corners on a racetrack, it maintains its cool composure, even when driven in a really ham-fisted way like I tend to do, using its all-wheel drive traction and the grip from its sticky summer tires to rocket it out of the corners with considerable gusto. Volkswagen has incorporated a trick new electronic differential that'll send more of the R's thrust to its rear tires, enabling a drift mode of sorts, but that's a pretty quick way to vaporize tires, and our press car was already showing some notable tire wear, so we thought, better to preserve what's there. The ride from the adaptive suspension is pretty compliant, and it makes it easy to live with the Golf R day to day, but on the track it rolls and it dives more than the GR Corolla. Still, the Golf R is really easy to just get in and drive hard. It's just that a driver probably won't feel quite as connected with the VW's less communicative steering and brakes that don't offer the same bite as the competitors. At 315 horsepower, the Golf R is about 15 ponies over the Toyota. Torque measures are almost the same. The Golf is 280 versus 273 in the GR Corolla, and the weights are pretty similar too, the Golf being about 150 pounds heavier, despite actually being shorter and narrower than the Toyota. In terms of acceleration, they're pretty evenly matched as well, and they don't really feel all that different. It's just the way that they go about the acceleration that's a little bit different. The Golf has a lot more mid-range punch to it, and it will just kind of pull a lot more easily, versus the Toyota that needs a few more revs to get the job done. Of these two cars, the GR Corolla is unquestionably the more engaging and fun to drive car, especially on the track. Its raw connection to the driver, its sounds, its visceral immediacy, it just makes it more fun, quite frankly. But I think far too many people, when choosing a performance car, put way too much emphasis on the numbers that a car generates or the ideal situation of what it's like on a track without really truly considering what it's like to live with day to day. Most people don't get to spend as much time doing laps on a racetrack or competing in autocross events as they'd like, realistically, and instead sit in traffic on a daily commute, or they're taking clients to lunches or just picking up stuff at the Home Depot. And in those scenarios, the Golf R is smoother, it's quieter, it's more comfortable, and quite frankly, it's just better suited to real life for most of us. Even within the larger four-car group, the Golf R feels like the most subdued, but it's also the most luxurious, largely thanks to its great leather-covered seats. And they're heated, and like the steering wheel, and cooled, and offer good support for high-speed corners as well as long-distance road trips. There's a nice big sunroof, a head-up display, and a really decent Harman Kardon sound system here, along with some better material choices throughout than certainly those that are found in the Corolla's bargain bin interior. And while the digital gauge display is well executed, and the 10-inch infotainment touchscreen has bright, crisp graphics, and it's pretty responsive, the dependence on the infotainment system for far too many controls in here does become pretty tiresome quickly. Worse still is that the decision to put this volume and temperature adjustment slider here directly below the screen, where one might brace a hand while trying to work the touchscreen, is beyond frustrating. And quite frankly, all these haptic controls on the steering wheel take way too much focus away from driving too. Volkswagen has used the Golf R's dimensions to really good effect too, far better than what Toyota has done. Its boxy shape really lends well to getting in and out of the car, particularly in the back seat, where there's not quite the raked roofline and much larger door openings. There's just more space back there for humans. And the trunk, or the cargo area, is also much bigger and more usable on a day-to-day basis. Those are all the practical applications of the Golf R's boxy shape, and while it's less extroverted than the bulgy Toyota, it still looks serious and aggressive. Its face features a thin grille and squinty headlights that help emphasize the front end's width, and those 19-inch wheels look well proportioned for the car. And from the rear, there's an extended roofline spoiler and those four tailpipes that identify this as Volkswagen's sportiest car. Otherwise, it's pretty refreshingly restrained. Without being overdone like the competitors in this segment, it won't make middle-aged owners look like they're going through a midlife crisis, and it's bound to still be stylishly handsome, even 10 years from now, especially in this beautiful shade of blue. Volkswagen is no stranger to making hot hatches. They've been doing it for decades now. So it kind of stands to reason that the Golf R would stand to be the elder statesman within the group. Compared to the other competitors, especially cars like the GR Corolla, it definitely feels far more suave and sophisticated. But all these amenities and all this comfort does come at a price, and the Golf R is significantly more expensive than the Toyota. Even still, with the performance that you get and the day-to-day livability of it, it genuinely does feel like it's well worth the money.
All right, Jeff, so which one is the more fun car to drive? The raw, rally-inspired GR Corolla or the more sophisticated, punchy Golf R?
Well, there's no question. The GR Corolla, whether on the road or on the track, it's the more engaging, more fun machine to drive. But despite that, it's also harder to live with. And I think as a result, being the sophisticated gentleman that I am, I would pick the more sophisticated choice, the Golf R.
So you're saying that's the winner?
That's the winner.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree and take the GR Corolla. Thanks again to our sponsor, WeatherTech. Be sure to hit the link in the description below for more.